ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Sports betting isn't a gut call. It's a market with prices that move. WagerBird shows you what to bet, when to bet it, and how the line is changing live. Every pick is time-stamped. Every result is tracked. Start betting like an analyst with WagerBird.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. You made it. Friday, closing bell, midday market report, whatever you want to call it tonight. Jeff Dawson, ECSI, of course, with Scott Webb. I'm live from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. 74 sunny degrees. The weekend is here. Scotty, probably a lot hotter in Tampa, Florida. If you were here earlier this morning, 11 a.m., Brett Ciantia, amazing job. Pick six reviews. We could have chatted for hours. We still could be chatting. If you're serious about college football, Scotty's talked about it. I've talked about it. We had him on. He even said he liked us so much he wants to come on around week 2 or 3 to see how the season's going. Head on over to Pick Six Review on X. Buy the book. I mean, it's cheap, guys. I think actually it's probably cheaper right now than Phil Steele's if you go to your Barnes and Noble. He has a digital version. I have the hard copy. Scotty waiting for his hard copy. He also has a couple extra regular season informational emails every Tuesday, breakdowns of the big games, reasons why these numbers are here, blah, 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 blah. For an additional, it's like $99 for that. The book was less than $40, but if you missed the show, head on over to East Coast Sports Investors on YouTube. Congratulations, team, Scotty, everyone here. We crossed the 12,000 subscription mark this week, so we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Now we just want to see more people jump in and enjoy the show. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Wagerbird.com. Every Wednesday, 10:05. CEO Blaine Davis here to talk about his platform, his stage. He's New York Stock Exchange, Squawk Box, Bloomberg, and he's in our lanes now, and he's created a platform second to none. Take a look at it. Great guy. We hope to be doing a lot more with him throughout the fall season and even into 2027. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, Scotty?
Yeah, man, I was like loving that pick six. Was really good. So, and I don't want to call it unique because it's not, but it's smart the way he does it, and I think that's the most important part when we talked, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I said, the number one thing that you got to do when you're starting to do this stuff is don't go out and get the same stuff everybody else has. Because if you do that, you're going to be in the same boat and bin as everybody else. You don't want that. You want a variation, but that variation has to be a trusted source. And this is really good. So it's not a bad thing. It's a really good thing, and he does a great job. So it was great. Good job. ECSI was awesome. So it's all It's really good, and I think it was $27. I think what I paid, and I got both. I got a digital copy, which they once you get it, your transaction goes through, there it goes. It's right into your email, and you download it onto your computer. And for me, that's the best way because I just copy and paste stuff into my AI stuff, and it reads it, and it downloads, and it's just right into the handicaps and stuff. So all of that stuff is extremely important, especially the first couple weeks. After the first couple weeks, then you can start using live data, and you can start doing all kinds of different other things. But you need to know a lot more and let these guys do all that work for you. That's the best thing I can say. Let them do all the work. They're going to get paid $27, whatever, how much it costs to make the book or do whatever they do. But, it is what it is. They're going to get paid for what they're doing. But you don't have access like they do because they're putting this book together or whatever to talk to a coach. They do. They go talk to them. I mean, they don't go there. They may pick up the phone. But my point being is that I think it's important that two things, right? You get something that you trust, and two, it's a differentiation from what everybody else is doing, because what everybody else is doing isn't wrong, but at the same time, you don't want that same opinion because you need a differentiated opinion. It reminds me of when you I don't remember how long it was. I talked about Fangraphs, and Fangraphs has this simulator, and it's a really cool thing. And then they go, here's the lineups that are going to play. It simulates the game 10,000 times, and here's the result. Well, every single score is like 4.5-4. So it's never like 6-1, never. And the reason that it's not like that is because there's 10,000 simulations, number one. Number two, the programs are designed not to have that. Well, if you're a gambler, you what's 4.5-4? That's nothing that's really going to help you. Now, what it does that like Rocket Sauce and some of the other guys that do props, it breaks down how this guy's going to have this many hits, and this pitcher is going to have this many strikeouts. He's going to throw this many innings and that stuff. So, it might help for those purposes, but for what kind of I'm doing and what, what I give out here, it doesn't really help. But so when you're doing all these things, you need differentiation in thought. That's all.
Full slate tonight. Did I screw this up? I probably did. Save.
Well, I think there's some pretty good matchups and some pretty good things. You got a pretty big series out there in Texas between Seattle and Texas. That's pretty big. Pittsburgh, Chicago is pretty big. I don't think Detroit, Kansas City is pretty big, but these are all now, you've got your divisional matchups. Boston's playing Toronto and stuff like that. It's fun to see the Yankees go play, Philadelphia. It's kind of cool, some of that stuff. I don't know. Atlanta, Baltimore might be a pretty good series. So I think there's some pretty good baseball this weekend.
Yeah, and where I was going to go with this, it's such a big slate. I don't want us to go on for 25 minutes in the intro that we could be talking for 2 hours on. I do want to bring this up. Sox had won 15 in a row. The day off came perfect after the loss. The Bronx Zoo effect, I like to say. Usually after a long winning streak, you lose a game. You usually lose the next one too. Same thing after a long losing streak. You win one, you usually win the second one. In my eyes, it's a Baltimore number. It's your Savage versus Sandoval. The overnight number was -126. Currently at the circa -125. You can grab your Savage at +112. Back to the locals for a second, Scotty. Listen, everyone's going after the same people. We're expecting fireworks in the trade deadline. Listen, I don't see it, okay? But there's a name locally that we talked about 6-7 weeks ago the Sox were attached to. And we often wonder why he's just dying out there. If he gets moved, again, it's a name that makes sense. It's a name that might actually he'll get the juices flowing. Now, I don't think if he says, "All right, it's time, I'm finally moving," I don't think this is his number one spot. I always say go back to Philly. You talk about Atlanta. I'm throwing it back out there. If he decides to get moved finally, the locals are talking again about Mike Trout to the Red Sox.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. So I don't remember when we started this about the baseball trade deadline. I brought up the guy that said, "Hey, there's going to be ancillary moves. There's not going to be big moves." And as this is going on and on and on and on and on, all of these things that you're seeing on these, would you make this deal? Would you make this deal? Would you make this deal? All over the internet, right? I mean, it's all over the place. I just saw something from more of a insider per type person, one of those reporter guys. He said, "Look, all those catchers everybody wants, they're off the market. Nobody's going to get them because nobody's going to get Langoliers. Nobody's going to get all these guys that everybody wants, and the reason they're not going to get them is because the price is going to be too high for all these people. They're not going to pay it." So as all this stuff is kind of happening and not happening, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there might be one or two names that are big that get moved. But if Luis Ariz gets moved, he might be the biggest name of all these guys. And I'm just saying, as far as offensive talent. And then you've got some of these guys like Kevin Gossman and some of the stuff that these pitchers might move too. It's going to take so much to get a guy like Mason Miller. I don't know what they're willing to give up to do that. I suppose it depends on which team it is and all the different stuff. And I also still think that there's a very real possibility that a general manager, maybe one, maybe two, might go out there and go, "The hell with it. I'm just going to go all in." Well, if they do that, they might get into playoffs. I don't think that'll make them, well, I guess it depends on the team. But Jeff Passan wrote a thing earlier today, and he said, "Hey, look, if Tarek Skubal's available, we don't need to talk about who's getting him. It's already decided. The Dodgers are going to get Tarek Skubal. That's what's going to happen. So if that were to happen, right, everybody and their brother is going to go, oh my God, I hate all this stuff. So be careful what you want, because if a big name moves like that, it's going to go to the big powerhouse teams. It's not going to go to some little team."
But Scott, and again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, okay? But we're talking Mike Trout, the shell of Mike Trout, okay? And if he says to Anaheim, "Hey, I want to stay. This is where I want to stay," I get it. But if he finally went to them with the uncertainty of 2027, and they can get 4 or 5 guys, 2 guys ready to play, couple prospects, get out of that contract, we're not talking about Vladimir Guerrero here. We're not talking about Juan Soto or Aaron Judge here. Yeah, 8, 9, 10 years ago, Mike Trout, that would have been earth-shattering. It's like LeBron going to the 76ers. LeBron's 43 years old. Now, he makes that team a lot better. Now they're probably the favorites in the East. I get that. But that's not LeBron of 10 years ago. But for the Red Sox, the name and if healthy, the green monster behind me, that would be a big ad.
Maybe. He strikes out way more than you think he does, and he's not been very clutch as a hitter, and he's on the Angels, and he's not the best player on the Angels. So it's be careful what you ask for. Now, maybe that rejuvenates him. Maybe, playing for somebody else gets his juices, fired up again, or something along those lines. But Mike Trout is somebody I see that as he's dying in his, the last couple of years of his life, not life, but in baseball life. Somebody else, he'll want to win a World Series, so he'll get traded to whoever that team is, and it'll be a nice move by the Angels, and they'll trade him to whoever that team is, and he can ride along and do a Clayton Kershaw kind of last couple years, and go out and play, half the season or just a couple of months and get a World Series ring. Maybe that's what he needs. But look. Mike Trout doesn't move the needle for me. He just doesn't.
Let me close then, because the name that is attached from the Red Sox to the Angels is shortstop Nato. So you're saying that's a better fit than Mike Trout?
Well, Neto's a better player. Neto's way more valuable than Mike Trout. I mean, Neto's the leadoff hitter. Neto's got more home runs. Neto's got more RBIs. Neto's got a better batting average. He strikes out too, but I mean, he's a better hitter. He's a better player and he plays in theory. Where's Mike Trout going to play? Center field? I don't think you're going to take Rafael out of center field for Mike Trout. You might move Mike Trout to left field. You wouldn't necessarily put him in center field. Let Rafaela play center field and put him in right field. And you have Abreu in left field, and then Duran doesn't have a home. Duran's got to go. I don't know where he's going to go.
Oh, he's going in some kind of trade. Get him out of here. He's a fruitcake.
I get it. I'm just saying, but if Neto were to be the guy that comes over, I think there's a need for a shortstop. I don't know that he's the greatest, defensive shortstop in the world, but at the same time, he's going to be a very effective. And especially there because he's a pull hitter with home runs. I mean that's he's going to hit more home runs than Mike Trout.
Well, the funny thing is the Red Sox yesterday announced they're moving number 4 or 5 prospect in all of baseball, Franklin Arias, up to Worcester, their AAA team, and of course we still have Marcelo Myers. So maybe that is getting closer. Maybe that is the guy that they're putting their one trade or whatever they do into the before the deadline, and I would obviously assume that it would be either Arias or it would be Meyer, and I honestly think that Duran would be part of that package, and they probably want an arm. I have no idea, but anyways, day baseball, bottom of the 5th. Brewers closed at minus 276 at the Circa. Colorado plus 243 and 8.5 over, juice 20 cents. Sagano versus Drowan, bottom of the 5th, 4-1 Rockies. So I'm going to bring you to the forefront right now. Big slate. Do your thing. I'll be here adding any updates or anything, and then I'll jump in a little while.
All right. So I thought today was a pretty interesting board. I liked the board. My computer gave me 6 different spots. The ESO dashboard gave me another couple spots. I ended up playing 4 bets. I made 4 bets today. And time wise, so the first game that I'm going to talk about is a game I bet. So this is Chicago Cubs at Pittsburgh. And I think it's important to make sure that you know who the home teams are. Because as I was looking at this stuff earlier today, one of the things that stood out to me was when I put the offensive spreadsheet together, I look at weighted runs created plus for the offense, for the home team and the away team, and just what they're, I don't look at the win-loss numbers. But if you go down the line, there's 30 teams, so 15 games. There are only 3 home teams, less than average, less than 100, weighted runs created plus. So everybody else is over. So that means that obviously they hit better, they feel better, they sleep in their own beds, well, all that stuff. Home teams matter. And there's only 4 teams that are on the road that are over 100. So everybody else is below. So obviously Cubs are coming into Pittsburgh Cubs are 95 weighted runs created plus, so 5% worse than an average offense. And the Pirates at home, they have the best number on the board. It's 140. So they're 40% better than an average team at home. So that's number one about this game is and then as I said that, keep in mind looking at these series this time that the home teams are pretty good against the away teams. So getting into the pitching, I don't know if you guys have been following Jared Jones at all. Jared Jones missed half the season. He had Tommy John last year, missed, I think the whole season. Younger guy, small kid, not super big, but he throws 100 miles an hour. So you sit there and go, man, that's pretty cool. He throws 100 miles an hour, he's a little guy. But what's interesting is his run value score is 2.28. So you can expect him to give up 2.28 runs in a 9-inning game. There's one player on the entire board that's better than that. One. And that's Tariq Skubal, by the way. But 2.28 is really, really good. That's dynamite number. And, we talk about strikeouts, and strikeouts are super important in Major League Baseball. And if you're over 25%, that's pretty good. You get over 30%, you're elite. Well, Jared Jones is 37%. I mean, he's in the Mizorowski range. That's where he's at. Mizorowski's a 38 usually. He's 37. So he's right there in line with that. What's happened? He's not walking guys anymore. His ball, he's throwing strikes. So his walk rate's elite. It's 5%. He's not giving up any home runs. 0.46 on the home run number. He's got great swing and miss numbers. 14%. So guys are having a hard time making contact on the ball. Batting average against is 130. His whip rate is 0.66. So how do you get on base? That's the issue. How do you get on base? You really don't. And then you kind of slide it out. His RE24 score is 4.08. So he's good in those spots where he just controls the offense, and he doesn't allow them to do damage. His xWOBA against the offense, controlling it, is 281, which is green. That's top 25% of baseball. He's been dominant. He's been that good. His season, his game score year to date is 53. Now that's not ace. Ace is 60. The reason it's 53 is his first couple of games that he came back weren't the greatest. He's got his C-lates. He's doing great. And his last 3 starts, it's a game score 70. So look, 70, not 60, 70. So he's been really, really, really good. So I like that approach. And I just said they're 140 on offense at home, weighted runs created plus. Now they're going to face Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd is a I don't want to say a similar spot, but he's not pitched a lot. His run value score is 461, which is more of an average number, kind of a high average number. But that's a 2.33 run differential. So theoretically, your starting pitcher has a 2-run advantage over the Cubs. And I know the Cubs are hitting, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then the differential, though, is he's a 17% strikeout guy. So he's not striking guys out. That 17% is a low number. It's not. It's a below average number. So his swing and miss is a average to low number. So balls are going to be put in play. Balls in play, the advantage goes to that team. Well, it goes to Pittsburgh. They're not going to strike out all the time. Now, they might hit double plays or fly balls or ground balls or whatever. I mean, it's what happened to Tampa Bay yesterday. They just kept hitting balls into the ground against Bieber. So as all that stuff kind of rolls out and kind of goes, the other thought that I had was, Boyd's been around. He's been with the Cubs now for a couple of years. He's faced Pittsburgh quite a bit. How did Pittsburgh hit him? Well, Pittsburgh hits him pretty good. the xWOBA against Pittsburgh is 381. Now it's not just Pittsburgh; it's the guys in the lineup. It's not guys that were traded away or whatever. It's guys that are current in the roster. 381 is pretty high. It's almost 400. That's a bad number. So I like the opportunity then that Pittsburgh has to hit Boyd. And then when I looked at the hitters and the batters, what's interesting here is Pittsburgh's not hitting like they were. They're 85 weighted runs created plus, so 15% worse than an average team. They rank 23rd, so they're lower than I normally want to bet them. Chicago is 4th, so Chicago's hitting pretty well. They're 127 weighted runs created plus, so that's kind of a big deal. Where the differentiation is twofold. One, we talked about how you get big strikeouts from Jones, and Chicago is red in the strikeouts, 25% strikeouts. Pittsburgh is red in strikeouts, but the pitcher on the other side doesn't strike out that many. So that's kind of a differentiation there that should help Pittsburgh. And what's really helping the Cubs is they walk a lot, and we just talked about Jones not walking people. So the pitcher offsets a little bit of that. And then when I kind of broke it down and looked at it, he's a left-handed pitcher. Well, let's see what they do against left-handed pitchers. Well, they're 118 against left-handed pitchers, Pittsburgh. So they're 18% better than an average offense against a left-handed pitcher. So at kind of a coin flip game, I really think there's an edge here for the offense to sort of take flight again and to be in a spot where, okay, we got to beat the Cubs. We're chasing the Cubs. We got a pretty good pitcher on the mound, and I think the Pirates are going to be in a spot where they win this game. So obviously I bet this game, and the reason my computer says, hey, it's going to be 6-4 Pirates, and these teams score, so I don't imagine it's not going to be a higher scoring type game. The total is 8, so you might even want to bet over the number. But I bet it this way. I bet it because it's minus 101. You might, I don't know what the numbers are everywhere else, but that's how I played it at minus 101. So pick number 1 is Pittsburgh at minus 101. Pick number 2, I went to Detroit. I'm playing Scooble. I'm playing them on the run line, minus 1.5 against the Royals. And I know I played them yesterday, and I played them over 4.5 runs, and they scored 4. Buttheads. But they did exactly what I expected. I shouldn't say it that way. I expected them to hit Dubnyk a little bit, and they didn't really hit Dubnyk at all. They scored 0 runs off of him, but they scored 4 runs off of the bullpen. Well, Royals' bullpen is terrible. So you can expect them to score off the bullpen again today. But today, they're going to have an opener pitch, and then they're going to have Cameron pitch. And Noah Cameron's been really, really bad. Noah Cameron, and I don't really like to bet Detroit when there's lefties on the mound. But here's the Noah Cameron's numbers. Noah Cameron, 5.13 xPIC, 5.26 Sierra. His run value score is 522. There is 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, four guys worse than him. That's pretty bad. That's not good. That's bad. And he's not striking guys out, and he's walking them, and he gives up homers. And his RE24 score is minus 10. Well, that means he could give up 4 runs in an inning or 5. A big blow up from him plus the bullpen, I'm looking at minus 1.5 being pretty good, because Scooble, on the other hand, is the best pitcher on the board. He's a 1.93 run value score. So if he gives up 2 runs, then that means they only have to have 4. I think they're going to score more than 4. My computer says they're going to score how many? Dun, dun, dun. My computer says 7-2. That makes sense to me. And looking at this game and how it's kind of shaken out, offensively, the Tigers aren't the best right now. The Tigers are 14th in offense, 107, so they're kind of average. and that's okay because they're going to face a well below average pitching performance from the Royals. So the only difference in the game is it's a divisional game, and like yesterday they had to come from behind to win the game. Now maybe they won't be in that spot this time. Maybe they'll be ahead, and they'll just keep piling on, and they'll win this game. That's my thought. My thought is that you bet the run line when your pitcher is going to really hold the other team down to 2 or less runs, and that's where I'm at. I think Scooble does that, and I think that the Royals don't score many, and because they don't score many, the Tigers don't have to score many. If they score 5 runs, they might win. They might win by 2. So that was the idea here in this game. So I'm taking the Tigers minus the 1.5. It was minus 109. So I minus 101 with the Pirates, minus 109 with the Tigers. So the next game, I bet it too. I bet all these early games today, I guess. This is the only away team that I bet. Arizona, I don't bet them that often, but they helped me yesterday. I'm on them today. And not because they helped me yesterday, but because they're hitting. And when Arizona's hitting, it's kind of like Seattle when they're hitting. You just got to be on them because they hit in bunches and they scored lots of runs. I think they scored, 10 runs yesterday, 11 runs yesterday. Today, they're going to face a pitcher that Palmquist, he always opens for Lytle. Lytle, his projected WAR number, it's not very often that you have this. There's a couple guys that are in this category, and he's one of them. When you're a 0 projected WAR, that means you're equivalent to a AAA call-up pitcher or player. Well, if you're a negative WAR, you're worse than that. Well, that's where Lytle is. Lytle is a negative 4. 0.4, negative 0.4 projected WAR pitcher. So he's helping them lose is really what it means. So there's times when Lytle, doesn't do that. It does better than others. But today, when I started kind of going through all of it, I don't like Rodriguez that well. But what's really good about Rodriguez is his RE24 score. It's a 410 positive. That's why he's winning games. He's not an effective pitcher. He's a 4.81 run value score. It's actually higher than Lytle's number. So I don't normally do this. I don't normally go and say, well, I want to have to overcome my starting pitcher. But the difference is Lytle's a negative 2.45 RE24 score. His batting average against is 266. He doesn't strike guys out, and he gives up home runs, 1.80, almost 2 home runs a game. So I think there's an advantage there, and I understand the Washington. I talk about them all the time in terms of their offense and their offensive capability. If I go to the hitters and the batters right now, Washington is ranked 7th. They are 127, so 27% better than an average offense. Arizona's number 1. They're 156, 56% better than an average offense. Their WOBA number, weighted on base, is 404 as a team. Very rarely does that happen, get to 400. It's happened, several times, but it doesn't happen on a regular basis. They're 404. They're not striking out. They're getting lots of walks. They are 19.42 positive RE24 score on offense. So that means when they're in the situations that you got to get in, they come through and they're scoring lots of runs. They are 16.9 runs better than an average offense. Well, remember, Washington's 7th. Well, 7th means that they're 7.6 runs better. Well, think about that. 7.6 runs is not even half of 16.9. So it's one of these spots where you go and say net offensive WAR batters, they got 6 in the positive helping them. zero pulling away. So every player is helping the Diamondbacks. And part of when you want to bet on the Nationals, you want one guy in the positive number, and that's Wood. You want him in that spot. He's not on the list. In fact, they have the same number of guys in that the Arizona does in the positive, net six. The only player who's not pulling the weight, who's helping them lose, so to speak, is Wood. Wood is negative. Where is it? If I go down here, Wood is negative 3.2. And CJ Abrams is 6.7. So he's carrying, most of all of it. And on the other side, everybody's kind of spread out for the Diamondbacks. Everybody's doing it. I don't, there's a new guy that's playing first base for them. I forget what his first name is. It begins with a T. But his name's Locklear. Locklear is on the list. Locklear's hitting like crazy for them. So I like the idea. Even Max Kepler's on the list, for God's sakes. I like the idea that they're going to surround the offense and they're going to overwhelm Washington. And at the same time as that, Lytle can't, I don't think, survive that, where Rodriguez probably can and pitch, his veteran self and put the ball in the right place and get people out kind of thing. But they also have a better bullpen. Their bullpen is much better than Washington's. So I think, as the game goes on, there's even more opportunity. If you were on them yesterday, you'll know that St. Louis scored first, and then they came back, took the lead, and then just piled on and then had a 5-run inning and blew them out. It's kind of what happened. And I think you can see the same thing maybe today. And the only thing that really worries me is their travel situation. That's the only thing. And it worried me more yesterday than it does today, because yesterday was a 1-game stop. I got to make this game up in a city. So they went from Arizona to St. Louis to now Washington, and they only stayed one night in St. Louis. So it was interesting. And now they're in Washington. So I think they'll be all right. We'll see what happens. But I did bet that one. I got them at minus 117, so I thought that was a pretty fair price. And then the next game is another game I bet. I thought it was interesting because when I was putting the numbers together last night for the pitchers, it kept saying Warren was pitching for the Yankees, and I'm like, he's not going to pitch. It's Schlittler. And then finally, I had to go back and get my data right, and it was Schlittler who's going to pitch, and even said Warren on everything that was there. And I knew Schlittler was pitching, so I set it up for Schlittler. Schlittler's going to pitch. It's sort of a short rest day for a short time frame from him. It's not like he's, they could have pitched him tomorrow, but I think they really wanted to match him up with Luzardo. Now, Luzardo has probably been the best Phillies pitcher here in the last month. Luzardo's numbers, he's a 2.10, 2.39 xFIP and Sierra, 2.30 run value score. Schlittler's been good, but he's not been his, shouldn't say his self, because that's not the right way to say it, not been his start of the season self. He's a 3.13, which is still very good. That's not a bad thing. So you got two really good pitchers tonight. But 0.83 run value score, value edge to the Phillies. So that means, in theory, they're 1 run better. So now you got to go find a run. You got to find a run to beat the Phillies. And when you start to go down the line, and I said, hey, these strikeouts are important. Well, Schlittler's 30%. That's really high. Well, Luzardo's 38.7, right up there with the Miz. You know what I mean? Like, he's way up there. And his home run rate, 0.30. That's important because you're playing the Yankees. You don't want to give up home runs to the Yankees. If you don't walk the Yankees and then give up home runs, you're not going to lose to the Yankees because they don't have a good batting average and they don't hit. So here's Schlittler gives up 2.25 home runs per game now. So that's a lot. And he's a negative RE24 score. So he's not coming through in those spots that he used to. And Luzardo is a 6.99. It's an excellent grade scale to look at to go, well, I want to bet the green guy in the RE24 score and bet against the yellow guy or the bad guy. So that puts you on Luzardo. So I'm like, well, I'm on Luzardo. Let's go look at the offense. So when I go look at the offense and I start looking at it, the first thing that pops out is Red, 3.4 runs per game for the Yankees. Can't bet on them if I wanted to. If they don't score enough. They are 78 weighted runs created plus. So with Red, they're 22% worse than an average offense. They rank 24th out of 30 teams. They are minus 4.67 in RE24 score offense and minus 4 runs to an average offense. And here's the big deal. I look at left-handed, right-handed pitchers on a 30-day scale, right? So for the last 30 days, I want to know how they're doing against that. And then it rotates every day, right? 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. They are 60 weighted runs created plus against left-handed pitchers. 40% worse than an average pitcher. So think about that. This isn't an average pitcher. This is Luzardo. Luzardo's been really, really good. They're 40% worse than their standard, just regular, everyday left-handed guy. What are they going to be against this guy? So I think that really sets Philadelphia in a spot where they score a few runs, they're going to win the game. And you know, if you can get Schlittler's pitch count up, he's out of the game, and here comes the bullpen, and you know, whatever happens after that, the bullpens will be about equal. The offense is favored to Philadelphia. Philadelphia scoring 4.6 runs a game. They rank 10th in offense. What they're doing is they're third in isolated power. So they're getting doubles, extra base hits, home runs. They're getting those kinds of opportunities. And we just saw that Schlittler gives up 2-point-something home runs a game. So that's a bad sign for New York against these Phillies right now. So the Phillies are 4.7 runs better than an average offense. Their hard hit rate is one of the highest in the league, 42.6. I think that continues. I think they hit the ball hard. They get base hits. And I think that they score a couple of runs. I don't think the Yankees score hardly anything, if anything at all. And the game becomes, okay, Philadelphia wins, I don't know, 3 or 4 to 1 or something. My computer says, well, it's not going to be that. My computer says 6-4. You know, I get it. I exaggerate certain things because I want to see a 6-1 score. We talked about that before, but it says 6-4. I don't think it's going to be 6-4, but I do think the Phillies are going to score, and I think that the Yankees are going to have a hard time scoring against a left-handed pitcher. So I liked Philadelphia tonight, and I bet them. The number I got on that was 127. So my 4 bets, first 4 games, was Pittsburgh, Jones, money line, Detroit, run line, Arizona, money line, and Luzardo, Philadelphia. Now, I thought some of these games were interesting. Like Kenny White sends me his numbers on what he does, and then all he does is my Webby odds. He has his Kenny White's odds, and then he looks at those numbers and then says, "Oh, here's the value. I'm playing this." He's on Baltimore. I can't go there. Baltimore is playing Atlanta today. Rodgers has been really good for Baltimore in his last few starts. For the season, he's a game score of 51, an average pitcher. But of his last 7 starts, he's been an ace, 63% or 63.7. So that's really good. Holmes has been an average pitcher all season. He's a game score of 50. His last 7 games is a 48. But where the difference is Holmes is a 4.67 RE24 score guy. So he's a veteran. He's been around the block. He knows how to get people out. Sometimes he can't because his stuff's not good enough. Well, Baltimore's offense has to be super good then to take care of that. And if you look, Baltimore's offense is 11th. Well, that's not bad. 11 out of 30 teams. They're 24th in isolated power. So that means they got to string a bunch of hits together to make this happen. Well, that's where I think you're going to run into problems with Holmes. He's just been too much around the block to allow certain things to happen. Atlanta, on the other side, ranks 8th in offense, 4th in isolated power, so they can hit and they can drive the ball. My concern with Atlanta is they are 81 weighted runs created plus on the road, so they're 19% worse than an average team. And against right-handed pitchers, they are 73 weighted runs created plus. They've been struggling, but they're hitting right now, and it's all Baldwin. Baldwin is 8 offensive WAR number, 8 in a week. That's a big number. Austin Riley's starting to hit, so he's a 2.9. And then when you start to look at what's going on the other side, you have Encarnacion Strand and Beavers. Where's all the Orioles guys? They're not there. So I can't support going with Baltimore. I can't support going with Atlanta either. So my computer says in this game, it says Baltimore 5-4. That might be true. It might be that kind of run scoring type deal. Atlanta's bullpen's been pretty good. Baltimore's bullpen's been pretty good. We'll just see who hits and who doesn't. Atlanta's been hitting, but they were at home, so we'll see what that kind of looks like. This one was kind of a scary game for me. Sasaki and Manaya. I thought I had it the last time. Sasaki against the Yankees. I really liked the Yankees in that matchup, and they were ahead. Of course, they scored on a pass ball or some weird thing that Rushing didn't catch the ball or whatever, and then Max Muncy hit a home run off of Schlittler, and that's how they got ahead and won the game. I think it was like 2-1, 3-1. Tonight it's Sasaki against the Mets. Sasaki's numbers are still terrible. He's a pummel pitcher. He's a 5.42, 5.23 run value score. And the reason is he's an average strikeout guy, 18%. But he's a real high walk rate. It's 10.8%, and his home runs are 2.89. So remember, 3 true outcomes: strikeouts, walks, home runs. 2 of the 3 are bad, like real bad, and 1 of them's average. So his numbers are going to be way up there, and they are. And then you look at his RE24 score, is not good either. It's -5. Well, I was trying to look at Manaya and go, well, maybe that's the right side. No. Manaya is a 4.13 run value score, but he doesn't walk guys. That's the good thing. He's an average strikeout guy. He doesn't give up home runs much. But what he does, that's not true. He gives up a lot of home runs. I was looking at the wrong line. But he's a -8 RE24 score. I can't bet on either one of them. Both of them could have a blow-up inning. This could be a game that's like 6-5. Big numbers is what I was looking at. But the Mets are the second team that you can't bet on because there's 3.4 runs per game. It's below 3.5. They're not scoring enough. The Dodgers are 5.4. So I just decided I don't know what to do. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do anything. Think about the Dodgers. You know who's leading the Dodgers? I thought Max Muncy was going to do it because he's been hitting these key home runs. It's Tommy Edmonds, 3.7, and then Max Muncy, and nobody else on the list. That's it. And then when you look at the Mets, Francisco Lindor, 3.0, and then Terrence, the backup catcher, 1.2. Nobody else. Look, it's so many guys not doing anything to help these teams win. There's not a whole lot you can do. I would tell you the Dodgers bullpen's better. So, this whole game is going to depend on Sasaki. If Sasaki pitches like he did against the Yankees, they're going to win the game. If he pitches like the system says he's probably going to pitch, then the Mets are going to win because they're going to hit Sasaki, or he's going to walk everybody, or they're going to put 3 guys on and then hit a grand slam, something like that. Francisco Alvarez or somebody's going to pop one out, and all of a sudden, they can't catch up. San Diego, Miami was an interesting matchup. Look, I wanted to bet against San Diego so bad. You got Marquez, who's going to be the opener. and I know that he's a starting pitcher, but he hasn't pitched past 3 innings in quite some time. And Randy Vasquez is going to back him up. 2 of the worst pitchers in Major League Baseball are pitching in the same game at the same time. I wanted to bet so bad, but I can't bet on Ryan Gusto. Are you kidding? And then second to that is not that Ryan Gusto is better than both of those guys, but the Padres are number 2 in baseball, number 1 in isolated power. They're doing great on offense, and the Marlins they decided to put their bats away. The Marlins can't hit at all anymore. The Marlins on offense right now, where is it? There they are, 69 weighted runs created plus. That's it, 69. They're 31% worse than an average offense, and the Padres 157, 57% better than an average offense. They have hit where is it? Well, that's a misprint. They've hit like 14 home runs in since the break coming out. They're just going bananas. They have Tatis is at 6.4, Ty France 5.6, and they picked up Rengifo, and while now Rengifo is going crazy for the Padres, and Merrill's on the list and Machado's on the list. You want all of that if you're the Padres. That's all fantastic. And when you look at the Miami Marlins, you want like Xavier Edwards up there and Otto Lopez and all those guys and the right fielder guy they got from Baltimore. You want all of those guys on there, and the only guy that's on the list is Jeffrey Conine, the only one, and he's a 1.4. It's not good enough. They don't score. They're not hitting. You can't take the Marlins, or at least I couldn't. I thought I might be on Tampa Bay tonight. McClanahan is he's got his sea legs back, but he's kind of going through that. Yeah, well, I'm good for a couple starts. I'm bad for a couple starts. And Cantillo, who's pitching for Cleveland, he's been an ace over his last 7. Now for the season, he's not very good, but he's a 50 game score of 50 for the season. McClanahan's a game score of 54 for the season, but McClanahan's a 47 for his last 7 starts. So I don't know what's going on. I need more kind of feel for what he's doing. He's a game score 60 in his last 3, but his last start was a 34. I don't. So is he going to bounce back? I don't know. Maybe he should. But Cleveland's hitting a little bit. So I was like, well, I don't know. This kind of feels more like a toss-up game. But I will say this, Cleveland's much worse on the road than they are at home, and Tampa Bay loves the Trop. They've been a very good home team. I just didn't want to pay any price on it. I thought it was too high, and I didn't pay it. The line was 127, and I thought it was too high. So, so what am I going to bet it at? I don't know. I didn't like it, so I didn't play it. Cleveland ranks 6th in offense. Tampa Bay ranks 5th in offense. So there's no edge. So I just kind of left it alone. What I did like was if you're Cleveland, they got Jose Ramirez back, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but he's in the lineup. So he's going to get going, well, whenever he gets going. But he's in the lineup. He's playing. But Stephen Kwan has started to hit, and that's a good thing for them. They put him back to leadoff spot. He's leading their offense right now, 4.9 offensive WAR. And the guy who was there, which is Travis Bazzana, they moved him back down, like way down in the order. I think he bats 8th or 9th now, maybe 7th, somewhere in there. He's 2nd, but he's been really good since Jose Ramirez went out, and he's kind of helped keep them afloat a little bit. DeLauder, who bats 3rd in that lineup, he's on the list. So they got the right guys kind of in there. If Jose Ramirez gets going, then they'll hit even better where they are. They're 6th in offense right now, 122 weighted runs created plus, and Tampa Bay's 126. Tampa Bay has only one of the guys you need. Camaro's on the list. 2 guys that are struggling right now are Yandy Diaz and Jonathan Aranda. I'm not betting those Rays until, again, I bet them yesterday against Bieber and it didn't work out. But I'm not going to bet him again until those two guys get on the list, or at least two of the three guys are on the list, and they're not there. Houston and the White Sox. Wait. I got to go back to Jeff's game. This is Toronto at Boston. This is your Savage against Sandoval. So this is your Savage is a weird pitcher to try to get a handle on. His metrics, some of them are terrible, and the other ones are really good. So you got to really, really focus. His run value score is 5.14, 5.22 xFIP, 5.14 Sierra. That's really, really bad, especially for a guy that's this good, because he's pretty good. His game score for the season's a 54. So obviously we say 50 is average. 55 obviously is going to put you in a pretty good spot. He's a 54. The issue becomes is the reason his number is so high is because when you kind of go down through here, he's a 22% strikeout guy. So it's average. It's kind of getting closer to that 25 number that puts him into the kind of upper elite number, but it's still average. But he's a 14.4 walk guy. You can't walk 14% of your batters. You can't put him on base. But his counter to that is batting average against is 149. So how do you get on base? Well, you're going to hit the ball a little bit, and he's going to put you on base, and then you're going to kind of score. So what the system is saying is if you can find a way to get hits, you're going to kill this pitcher. If you can get hits against him, you're going to kill him. His RE24 score is flat. It's even. Sandoval, he's only made 2 starts, but he's in the mid 4s. So he's theoretically better pitcher. I don't really think he's a better pitcher. But here's the problem with trying to bet on Toronto. Toronto's offense still is terrible. They rank dead last, 30th out of 30 teams, 30th out of 30 teams in isolated power. They score 1.5 runs a game. I've been saying this for the last couple times against Tampa Bay. You can't beat Tampa Bay scoring 1.5 runs. You're not going to beat Boston scoring 1.5 runs. It doesn't happen. So you're going to have to score more than that. And if the other side scores, then Toronto can't win. If you score 4 runs, Toronto is not going to win the game. So if you really think about it and you go, well, can Boston score 4 runs? Probably. They probably can. I don't know what it's going to look like. Boston's not hitting the way they were when they were on their streak. Boston is now, where are they? They're 21st in offense, 91 weighted runs created plus, so they're pretty close to the average. Toronto's 31 weighted runs created plus, 31. So they're 69% worse than an average offense. So I just passed on the game, but I would say, I know Jeff says, hey, look, once the streak's over, they're going to lose a couple in a row. I don't think so. I think Toronto's that bad that right now you can take them. They're not hitting at all. 1.5 runs is just pathetic. I don't like this matchup. Here's the problem. The Astros are playing the White Sox. Davis Martin is the ace of the White Sox. He's got a 56 year-to-date game score. Well, his last 7's a 46. His pitcher plus number is probably the worst on the board today at 79. 79. That means that he's very hittable. The Astros can hit. Now, Arrigetti's been terrible too. But Chicago, they're not hitting. So I don't know. Look, what do? You got a terrible pitcher against an offense that's not hitting. You got a pitcher that's a fraud going against a team that can hit. That tells me I think I might just say, hey, the Astros are probably the right side. I can't bet the game though. But they're the dog. And then you got these Seattle, Texas games. I don't know what's going to happen. Gore is a much better pitcher than his outcomes have shown, but his outcomes is how you get paid. So it's hard to sit there and back Gore. Miller's been phenomenal. Now he wasn't good his last time out, but Seattle doesn't hit. Texas does a little bit. So I passed on that game. If anybody wants to bet the A's and the Twins, go right ahead. Same thing with Cincinnati and St. Louis. Go right ahead. And did you know that Logan Webb has been blown up the last couple times he's pitched? I mean, just blown up. His game score in his last 3 starts is 38. 38. How do you back that? I'm not backing that even against Grayson Rodriguez. I'm not going to do it. It's like, holy cow! If he throws a 38 against the Angels are going to beat him. And I'm like, I'm off of all of that. So that's where I'm at on the games today. So it is what it is.
Quick question. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Lauder get blown up 2 starts or 3 starts in a row? Was phenomenal last start. Now going against Carrot Top in St. Louis.
So Lauder, his game score for the season is 41. Well, that's terrible. His game score for the last 7 is 35.7. His game score for his last 3 is 32.7, and his last time out's a 10.
Okay, it was the opposite. Okay.
So he threw a 10 the last time out, and then he threw a 10, a 49, 39, 48, 28, 41, 35. He's just terrible. But here's the problem. If you want to go back to Cardinals and you go, okay, Cardinals, can you do that? Cardinals are 26th out of 30 teams on offense. They are 70 weighted runs created plus, so 30% worse than an average team. They are 29th in isolated power, so obviously they're not hitting doubles, triples, home runs, that stuff. They're stringing hits together. Well, that's just terrible if you can't do it. And then there's 7.8 runs worse than an average offense. You got to make up almost 8 runs. Now I get it; it's Lauder and all that stuff, but how do you back that? How do you go and say, I'm gonna, and I'll be honest, a guy that throws a 10, he's not gonna throw another 10. Now he might throw his average start, which is a 40 something. That's a hell of a lot better than 10. So that puts them in the fight because Carrot Top, his Carrot Top, last start was a 37, but his last 3 is a 51. So he's an average pitcher at best. And so I think there's an edge there, so to speak, for St. Louis. May's been, leaking oil, as you like to say, bad. I think ever since he got hit by that line drive, he hasn't been very good. So I don't know if that's a bruise that he's still feeling from a month ago. But he's not been good since that's happened. But they're not hit. They are going real fast. They're diving out of the playoff picture. They're kind of diving out of all of it. And we'll see. This is kind of a big series for them. They got to beat the Reds at home. They got to beat the Reds because the Reds are the second worst team in the National League. The Rockies are the worst, and then the Reds are the second worst. If you can't beat the Reds, that's a problem. And if you're trying to be a playoff team, you've got to beat those kind of teams. And I think the Reds are going to end up having the guy who just got off the disabled list, Green. They're going to have Green pitching in this series, and then that's going to make it tough on St. Louis to figure out how to hit. So there's a kind of some cool series going on.
Me and Scotty will be back on Monday. Do a re-entry Monday. We'll talk about the weekend. We'll be a couple days ago, so actually 1 week and a day till the trade deadline on August 3rd.
Maybe we'll get a trade this weekend. Probably not.
Probably not, no. I want to thank everyone for watching and listening. We had some crazy views. Like I said, had over 250 views live. We had over about 100. Today, Friday night, it is what it is. People getting off work already at happy hour. Great turnouts on our YouTube page. Congrats to everyone as we cross the 12,000 subscription mark there. Hats off to everyone there. Me and Scotty, weekend off. We'll be back next week. Again, shout out to Brett, everyone watching that show. Hope to bring him on week 2 or 3 there. So shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to Kenny Magner in Scotty Webb territory. PB, Dr. Britt, you and your wife, hope the surgery went well. Mr. Lucky, keep your chin up. Football season will be here soon. Thoughts and prayers to you and your family as well. Dr. Lance, Rocket Sauce, everyone here. Thank you so much for helping ECNI become the media outlet that we hope to. We got a long way to go. But enjoy yourselves. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next week.